Good afternoon. Today we're talking about the Orbea Orca M10i limited power. This is the bike that Orbea loaned me for 2 weeks. I've got to say I'm thrilled that they did so. And it's a bike I've dreamed about for at least 12 years, because 12 years ago my friend Paul, who was a cycling guide down in Andalusia, he came to visit and he had an Orbea Orca. I then lifted up his Orca and it was so light, and then I took it for a really quick spin just to the end of the road and back. It was astonishing, and since then I've always wanted to ride an Orbea Orca. I always wanted to own an Orbea Orca, but that's not really going to happen for me. We'll talk about that later. But right now this is going to be a full rider's review of the 2024 Orbea Orca M10i. Cool, don't have to take it out of you. We're going to start by just quickly going through the videos I've already made, such as the one where I just took it out of the box and put it together. Just picked it up to move it. It is the lightest. That is incredible. That is incredible. There it is. It's breathtaking. It is a stunning looking thing. I'm not altogether sure it's actually a bike, rather some UFO. But you can't help but keep picking it up. There's literally no weight to it. Absolutely nothing. It's just incredible. Incredible. I need to change up a few gears and start motoring, because this is going to be super fast. Doing 35 kilometers an hour on the flat. And my heart rate's 87 beats per minute. It's fast as super quick bike. First impressions of this bike. Wow, absolute wow. It's so I'm riding into a headwind at the moment. It's a 25 kilometer an hour headwind. It's like having assist on. Well, it would, only I'm above the assist level. It's just an absolute dream to ride. It's incredibly smooth and supple, and it's comfortable. I feel it's the geometry I haven't checked yet. I don't know if it's supposed to have endurance geometry, but that's how it feels. It could be because the bars have been set quite high, as high as they go, which isn't very high. I'll show you. They're like that. Blooming gorgeous, isn't it? It's putting a smile on my face. It's like nothing else I've ever ridden. It is insanely reactive and light. And I'm going to go and ride it a bit more now. This really is showing its racing heritage. It is very, very, very lively handling. It's fantastic. That's the first proper descent I've done on it. It is thrilling, absolutely thrilling. Now, the first and most obvious thing about the bike, it's completely beautiful. Now, don't a lot of reviewers overlook that? I mean, why do you buy a bike? It might be because it's the best. It might be because it's the fastest, the sleekest, whatever. But if you don't like the look of the damn thing, you're never going to get on board. You're going to think, yeah, it's in the shed, I'll leave it there and I'll just, you know, potter about and watch telly. If you think it's one of the most beautiful bits of machinery you've ever seen, you're more likely to get on it. That's my view. And I think this is. I like all the things about it which other people have complained about. It's old school. In what way is it old school? It's got the most modern makeup of any carbon frame I've ever heard of. But look at those seat stays. Oh my goodness, they're not dropped. Well, that's because that is the stiffest shape you can get. And in order not to sacrifice stiffness, they've had to go back to the original strongest shapes to make it as light as possible. So yes, you can have a bit more forgiving compliance if you have drop seat stays, and of course they'll be slightly more aero because they'll be tucked out of the way ever so slightly more, probably worth a watt or two. But the difference is they've managed to make this light, but it's just a beautiful thing. It's a proper bike. It hasn't got integrated bars. You could have integrated bars if you want, it's your choice, but I like the fact that they're not. This is just a little graphic from the Orbea website. I thought it was cool, so I thought I'd leave it in here too. What I'm trying to do now is show you the colour. Orbea have managed to shave off a few grams by using this, I am assuming it's some sort of ink rather than paint. You can see the carbon layup underneath the paint, if paint it is. But the paint itself is a purpley blue with electric blue metallic flecks in it. But you can see the carbon through it, so they call it raw blue. So it's raw carbon and blue paint, ink, whatever it is. Nice little thing there. That's the cover for the hidden seat post clamp, and the shapes of the tubes. Round. Why round? Well, because round is strongest. But where it can be, they've shaped them. Look how thin this top tube is. Because it can be. Because what they've concentrated on is the strength through this sort of spine area. The down tube and out along these chainstays. Absolutely solid. I love that in order to make the frame lighter, Orbea have tried desperately to work out how they can use fewer pieces of carbon to make fewer overlaps to save weight. And in these joints, the shape is made so there is less excess epoxy in the joint. Probably doesn't mean much, but that's the smoothest running rear wheel I've ever seen. There's not a lot of drag there. I'm used to, with a e-bike, a hub motor e-bike, I'm used to quite a lot of drag on that rear wheel. Not that you notice when you're riding, but when you do a little test like that, nice click as well, isn't it? It's absolutely beautifully made. It's difficult to describe. Every time I push with my foot, the bike surges forward. So you whoosh, 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 because the thing is so light, it's just affected by every pedal stroke. I'm absolutely loving riding this incredible Orca. So you've heard an awful lot of pros. What are the cons to an Orbea Orca? Well, there is only one, and it's the reason why I will never own an Orbea Orca, and that's the cost. So as you can see, even though the entry-level M10i isn't too expensive, the price quickly ratchets up until at the top there is the M10i for just under £12,000. But get creative and get on a ferry if you're in the UK, because in Europe there are some fantastic deals and a great exchange rate to be had. Now, just a 2-minute online search found these deals. So the bike I rode, the M10i Limited Power, which still is, as far as I can tell, £12,000 in the UK, is £7,883 in Europe. And the bottom of the range M30 is only £1,863. Now, I'm not saying that these costs are small, they're huge and they're far outside my range, but it does mean that with a little bit of organisation you could get a massive discount simply by being a foot passenger on a ferry to Europe and cycling it back. What an adventure it would be as well. And then you'd own one of these beautiful things. Thanks for watching.